Yo, what is good, Pokemon fans, avid Pokemon enjoyers? Today is the first episode, or the first volume, so to speak, of the new podcast me and Merkit are doing together. Say hello, Merkit, to the fans.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey, there we are. There we are. So this is the Goldenrod Draft League podcast, a podcast centered around Draft League play, but we're also going to be talking about other aspects of the Pokemon communities that exist, and glad to have you with us today. So, where do we start? Sword and Shield. November is the time for new Pokemon games. They are coming out in November. It's around November 27th ish, and it's the remakes of Diamond and Pearl, right? So,
Yeah.
as we say goodbye to Sword and Shield, what are the takeaways that we have? What did we enjoy from it? What did we like? What did we not like in terms of draft league and in terms of non-draft league aspects? What did you enjoy about Sword and Shield?
Well, sort of really changed. I've seen a little bit, a lot bit, with the removal of Pursuit, Hidden Power, and other moves like that. Returning Frustration, it felt like a nerf to normal types. While I feel like we had a little more variety as through it because it's shifted more than any meta that I've ever seen before.
Mm.
And
When
then we
yeah,
had one game-changing item added this generation in the form of heavy-duty boots.
I was waiting on you to say that. That's a item you enjoy, right?
I mean, it's nice for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So the thing about heavy duty boots, like how did you feel it changed the game?
It made a lot more Pokemon viable because when Generation 4 came around, we added Stealth Rocks. A lot of Pokemon that were Rock Weak were very hindered by Stealth Rocks,
Right, right.
and a lot of times, um, the metagame was featured around, or if you wanted to use these Pokemon, you had to build a team with strong hazard removal.
Mm.
Like, good example would be Gen 6 with the addition of the Mega Charizards. In order to use the Mega Charizard, you had to make sure that your team was equipped well enough to deal with hazards before getting Charizard out on the field, or else Charizard was taking 49% HP, depending on how you EV the HP.
Right. And for rock or for anything that's quad rock week, I would say heavy duty boots really changes the game, gives them some viability that kind of lets them cheat their way out of taking 50% from stealth rock because it's really rough taking that 50% and stealth rocks and specifically stealth rocks being as potent as they already are, but pretty much you see them in every draft league game is definitely I was skeptical to it at first. I'm a come clean on that. I was a little skeptical to heavy duty boots on first because it's basically an item that doesn't heal you like leftovers or does make you faster, right? It's an item to prevent something instead of give you something.
Right.
So I was kind of a bit tense on it at first, but one thing I really like about heavy duty boots is that it doesn't say that you have heavy duty boots on it. So until it's like one of those items that are not like leftovers that activate every turn, so they display what item you have and reveal that to your opponent. So unless it's frisked up, it's kind of in the cards that like you can bluff scarf with it. You can do sorts of stuff with it because it's hidden. It's one of the hidden items, and I really like that about heavy duty boots.
Right. You can hide it to an extent because if they already have hazards up on the field and they come in, then they know right then and there.
Hmm. Exactly. Is there any other aspects about the competitive, especially draft league change that you like about certain shield or not like? What did you not like about certain shield change?
I was not a fan of the pursuit cut, to be honest. I feel like that was an unnecessary nerf to dark types,
Hmm.
and uh, it allowed for the rise of strong ghost types, which eventually took over the meta for a while.
Yeah, right. I kind of agree with that. Like Pursuit was a nice option to punish ghost types because it's really strong typing. It's like being immune to normal is really nice, and yeah, ghost is just really solid overall because there's pretty much only dark types that resist them. So it's it's a really strong typing in that regard. So you can hit a lot of stuff for neutral. So it's just nice to have that counterplay. So ghost can just more counterplay towards ghost. Basically, it's very nice.
Right.
So talking about sword and shield mechanics, we have heavy duty boots, was talked about, and then we also mentioned a little bit about what sword and shield did not include, and we're gonna get more into that later as we get around to hidden power, what to expect, and our thoughts on it, because we have quite a quite a different perspective on it, you and I. So we'll get into that later. It's going to be heated for sure, probably. But what did you think about Dynamax Sword and Shield's kind of like unique mechanic? What do you think? How do you what's your stance on it as in terms of when it came around and it was allowed in early draft leagues and then it got banned? What are your thoughts on like
I
Dynamaxing as a concept?
I think it was too polarizing for singles.
Hmm.
I think it was okay in doubles, and I think the doubles meta really thrived around Dynamax for a while. But as we see in VGC Series 10, Dynamax is actually not allowed right now.
Hmm.
This is the first Sword and Shield VGC meta that's not allowed Dynamax. So,
Hmm. Right.
and with that in mind, um, the doubles meta is going to see a rise in strong, frail offensive Pokemon like Rillaboom, Regieleki, which they were already good in the Dynamax meta. They're just getting better now because the HP boost from Dynamax allowed Pokemon to be able to live hits and deal with them.
Right. And you also have the fact that you set up these effects that the secondary effect moves have, the max moves. So for example, if you use Max Geyser, the water max move, you get rain and so on and so forth. So you can get like sun and terrains that you can set up that your partner in doubles can immediately follow up on, right?
Hmm.
So as of for example, if you use something like a water type, like take Ludicolo for example in singles, right?
Yes.
Then it would be like you use Max Geyser to set up the rain, but you can't fire off a water move in that rain on the same turn, which you can in doubles. So that's kind of like I can see it having more utility and play with it in general as in terms of when it comes to double battling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So definitely, for sure. What did you think about? You mentioned the fact that Pokemon themselves basically banned their own mechanic in ranked games, right?
Yes.
Has that happened before, or is this the first time? Like, for example, if you take Mega Evolution in Gen 6, for example, if you had a rank
Uh,
ladder there, would Pokemon has Pokemon banned their own mechanic before, like the main game mechanic?
they that I don't think they have. They banned certain Pokemon. Some Pokemon were too strong and polarizing for the meta,
Mm, mm,
so some of them were banned. Like in Gen 6, Mega Sableye was banned,
mm.
uh, as well as Mega Kangaskhan with Seismic Toss was banned for a little bit.
Right, right. Interesting. Yeah, Mega Kangaskhan with Seismic Toss is really polarizing because you can you basically get guaranteed 66% on anything that's not a ghost type. So that's
Yeah.
it's a lot of damage. For sure, for
Right.
sure. So what did you think about Sword and Shield's take on the Galarian forms? What's your thought there? How do you think they approach that?
Um, I mean, it was kind of nice seeing some old Pokemon getting some love,
Hmm.
like Stunfisk, for example. It's not
True.
still not good, but it got some attention. It got a new typing, a unique ability in Mimicry.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Then there was the Galarian Zigzagoon line. You had they got a new evolution on top of that, which was awesome.
Yeah. You talking about Obstagoon now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Right. For sure. For sure. Yeah. The thing is there like I felt like there I might be wrong about this, right? But I felt
Mhm.
like there were so many Alolan forms in Gen 7, and I don't feel there was that many Galarian forms in Gen 8. How do you feel about that? What do you think about the like how many there were? Would you like more? Which ones would you add a Galarian form to, you think? If
I
you
personally think that less is more. I think that we got overwhelmed with all the Alolan forms.
Hmm.
that the original forms just kind of got overlooked a little bit,
Mm.
and I think they did good adding the slow twins Galarian form and the DLC instead of all at once.
Yeah, dude, I actually agree on that. I think that was a good play. I think that was a very good play. And talking about like, so we have the Alolan forms, which was last gen. We have Galarian forms, which is this gen, and we're still in this gen. But moving forward, we're going to get the Hisuian variants as well. What's your first thought on those compared to
Well,
Galarian and Alolan?
I mean, we haven't seen enough yet.
Mm,
All we know are two Hisuian forms, and we have to assume that Arcanine's gonna get one just
mm,
because Growlithe got one. But we
mm,
even then we've not seen a glimpse of it. We don't know what's happening with it
right.
now. And then we are also kind of left wondering if is Hisuian Braviary gonna be similar to Galarian Weezing? Like, is it going to be just the Braviary that's the form, and then just regular Rufflet, kind of like what Coughing was,
Mm, right.
or are we going to get a Hisuian Rufflet as well?
Right. Because that is a thing with regular coughing being Galarian wheezing. You don't have Galarian coughing, right? So it's
Right.
kind of like that. And then you have like you can kind of flip that concept on its head too, right? So you have a Hisuian Growlithe, but will there be a regular Arcanine? You know, so you can kind of take that approach as well. So,
Right.
but I know you're a
I
fan of Wordeer, right?
I am. I'm so happy that Stantler got some love. It's been a very forgotten Pokemon for ever since it was conceived back in Gen 2.
Mm. I'm gonna have to agree there. I'm personally not a fan of Stantler, but I like that mons that don't get that much love actually gets shown some attention, and it's not only that they get some attention, but I feel like Pokemon is very good at picking like variants that are very true to form in terms of regional variants. So for
Mm-hmm.
example, you have the UK, right? And you have like the punk thing going, and you have like the steampunk kind of vibe with Galarian Zigzagoon, Galarian Weezing, kind of Motostoke being like a steampunk city kind of ish, symbolizing London and the UK kind of. So
Right. Even the starters were like representative of the culture.
right.
You have
The,
the football player in Cinderace. You have
mm,
the rock and roll aspect with Rillaboom, and you have James Bond essentially with Inteleon.
right. I didn't even think about that. That's actually very cool. And it's also like that with Alola, right? It's not that just that they add variants, but they really think about the region when they add these variants. You have Alolan
Mhm.
Executor being this like palm tree, right? It's like Executor like stretching out and being having like a not long neck, symbolizing a palm tree for the Hawaiian region. It's really cool like that. So
Yep.
I'm just excited to see what they have more in store. I hope there are more Hisuian forms. If that's all, I'm going to be a little disappointed, to be honest. I don't know about you, but
I'm wanting a Hisuian Dunsparce, please.
yep, it's just get your wishing lists ready, people. It's just send them into Nintendo headquarters, and they'll see what they can do with the time they have before November hits. So,
Even better, give Dunsparce an evolution in this game.
oh right, yeah, I'm actually for that. An evolution that doesn't look dumb. I'm all for that. I'm all for that. Hopefully, it has some cool new mechanic or something.
Yeah. I'm very partial to Gen 2. So anytime that I see Gen
Gen
2
two love,
Pokemon getting love, it really excites me.
dude. If my favorite gen got tons of love too, then I'd definitely be on board there. I'm having a really hard time myself choosing my favorite region between 3 and 4, but
Mhm.
because I grew up with 3, but I grew to love 4, so
Right.
having kind of a conflict of interest there. But
I'm kind of saddened because when we saw Ursaring in the trailer, it didn't look any different.
right, it might be just be regular Ursaring.
Right. So I hope that they at least give it an additional typing or something.
That would be cool.
Maybe
Just no change, but
right,
I don't
or
know.
like change an ability or something.
Right, or maybe you just looked at it from the front, and then it's changed on the back.
I think we got a good glimpse of the back as at the campsite though.
Oh yeah. You remember this much better than me off the top of the dome. So So totally, totally. So we're both getting Legends Arceus. That's kind of in the bag. I'm getting Brilliant Diamond because I want that Honchkrow baby. Which one of the versions of Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl are you getting, and why?
I'm not. I haven't decided yet. I don't. I've not really looked too much into it
Hmm.
as far as version exclusives and such. I'll probably just pick the first one that I see.
Ah, I see. I see. You're impulsive kind of guy. I respect that a lot. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Do you think? Do you think the platinum version is coming or no?
Probably not.
Probably not.
This direct port of the game is already having very is already being heavily criticized.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure because of the art style.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, you're correct about that, actually. Yeah, for sure.
And so, I unless it does extraordinarily well or adds something secret that we have not discovered yet,
Mm.
I don't see a platinum coming unless Game Freak works on it themselves.
Right, right. Because if I'm not mistaken, Game Freak is not in creative direction of this, which is why you don't see any, like, any, how should I say it, like big spectacle around, like, you compare it to Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, for example, right? You have they have trailers for the megas of the starters, right? So unless there's been some kind of revolution in the marketing industry where they just keep things secret and then sell things as we discover them in game, which I doubt. Honestly, I think if there were mega evolutions in this game, they would market that heavily. Whilst we've really only seen one or two trailers since we heard about the game back in early this year, right?
Right. The only thing that we know confirmed that wasn't in the original Diamond and Pearl was that they are doing fairy types again, or here, like they're bringing the fairy type over.
Right, and they have changes to the underground system, and they have changes to the like the contests. I think the
Right.
contests concept looked way different, and the underground system looked way different as well.
Well,
So,
it also looks a lot cooler. Like
mm,
the contests look more fun than they did before, because
mm,
it feels more interactive now instead of just like a an alternate combat screen.
right, right. That was Gen 3 contest. Shout out. That was my thing actually. I grinded contests in Gen 3 a lot, for sure, for sure. So you have Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire with Mega Evolutions, all this fun stuff. And then, so that's kind of like they have Mega Evolutions as they did in Gen 6 with X and Y. Sword and Shield has Dynamax. Do you think we'll be seeing Dynamax in BDSP?
No, it's
No.
just a direct. It's essentially just a direct port.
Yeah, it's just a straight 100% direct port.
Because if I remember correctly, didn't Chairman Rose say that it was a power unique to the Galar region?
Right, right. You might as well be very, very on there. He does. It's something about the wishing stars, falling down and giving them power, and then
Yeah,
the whole gallery infrastructure around the how they Dynamax, they set up power spots and stuff like that, right? So you cannot Dynamax all over the region. They have to be exclusive spots. So actually, I agree with you on that take. I don't think any like major mechanic is gonna transfer over, and I'm kind of a little scared it's gonna be a straight port because I'm hoping for something more. But like, yeah, Distortion World is not in Diamond and Pearl either, right? So we
no,
might not
that's
even see.
platinum exclusive.
Right, so we might not even see a Distortion World, although it did kind of look like a little bit they were teasing it in the trailer because it did have Cyrus say something about a new galaxy, but
He probably said that anyway in the games, just because
yeah, that's
that's
exactly
just
what he
shtick.
did. That's exactly what he did, which is unfortunate. And then yes, there is the thing that we can speculate about that's actually like straight up in the air, like a 50-50 coin flip toss, I'd call it. It's are hidden powers coming back? Yes or no? What do you think? Do you think they're coming back, first of all?
If it's a direct port, maybe,
Right.
but I'm not sure because just because they were not included in the Sword and Shield uh, game. Just because I don't know. Maybe it's a Switch thing.
Mm, right. It could be like because it was in the original games and it was on the handheld DS, but as soon as they transferred systems, they took away some moves. Is that because of the difficulty of programming? I doubt it. They're a $1 billion company. Uh, but like we don't really know 100% what the reason is for cutting away those moves. Like even the moves that aren't hidden power, pursuit, return frustration, like what's it called, signal beam, karate chop. Like why did they take away these moves? It
Right. It
doesn't.
doesn't. It doesn't make too much sense. Now, were there friendship evolutions in Sword and Shield? I cannot remember.
Oh, that's a good question right there.
Was the
think
friend ball
so.
included
I think
in
so.
Sword and Shield?
I don't know. The friendship ball is included. You have to talk to the ball guy a couple times. I don't know about that, but I think actually Cub Fu evolves using friendship, if I'm not mistaken.
Because
I
I
think
know
Cub Fu does.
I noticed uh, a few Pokemon missing that did evolve by friendship. But we did have Crobat, correct?
We did have we do have Crobat. Yeah.
All right, then if they if they um, if they still have friendship evolution included in the game, there's no reason they should have taken out Return and Frustration.
Right. Yeah, they definitely have friendship in the game still cuz I've seen Chanseys in the wild and my girlfriend on her port or her copy, she plays through it and she has a Blissey. So there's
Right?
definitely friendship still in the game.
Yeah, I think that they I don't know. It just seemed like an unnecessary nerf to normal types, in my opinion.
Very, very much agreed. I think, especially for the like, if we're talking draft, that is for the aerialate or the pixelate, like the kind of 8 ability Pokemon that uses normal type moves and converts them over to their typing to get an extra power using return and frustration for the physical members. It's just really solid, I think.
Forget about the 8 abilities. Let's talk about the bunnies.
The
We have
bunnies,
Mega Lopunny and Diggersby.
yeah. Those just losing return is so huge.
Exactly. And it's just an unnecessary nerf, even though like they weren't. Lopunny is in the game now, but even
Mm.
though Megas aren't in the game now, I can't. Is Diggersby in the game?
Diggersby is in the game, yeah.
Right. So they lost a huge amount of immediate power,
Yeah, right.
and it was just very unnecessary, and they weren't even that centralizing last generation.
Right. They're just nerfing things that aren't broken.
Right.
That's I totally agree on that. So let's get on the topic at hand. Hidden power. I want you to present your case on hidden power. I want you to give me your. I'm the teacher. You're the student. I'm just giving you the task for the week. It's go home, write a 2-page essay about your hidden power stance. Go.
Well, that sounds like a big task, seeing as you're gonna fail me because the opinion differs from yours. So,
No. I'm not gonna. No, I just want to hear your stance. I want you to present your case.
so I've had this discussion a few times, most recently in one of my draft servers. I think that Hidden Power was fine up until Generation 7, personally, because the amount of Pokemon available were few and far between up until then, and Hidden Power was kind of there to keep certain mons in check, like the Sizzlers and such in the metagame. But
Right.
now we have close to 1,000 different Pokemon. We have a lot of more widespread variety of these moves. Like all these fairy types got Mystical Fire this generation. Triple Axle was distributed around quite a bit. A lot of Pokemon got a lot of new coverage moves. And so I don't think that Hidden Power is necessarily necessary anymore
Mhm.
because there are more ways to deal with it other than other than, oh, well, I'm just going to drop this one move that I might need later and put hidden power on it because Mega Scissor threatens his team.
Mm.
It got so centralizing to the point that we saw things like Landorus Therians running hidden power ice for other Landorus Therians, or I think I saw at one point, I think I saw Mega Scissors running HP Fire for other Mega Scissors and Pharaoh Thorns doing the same thing at some point. Not all at the same time, of course, but
Mm.
it got ridiculous, in
Right,
my
right.
opinion.
On that,
And I think,
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
and on top of that, after Generation 6, if they were going to keep Hidden Power around, they should have found a way to include the Fairy typing into it.
Yeah. Like I actually agree with a lot of what you're saying here. I think 100% there should have been a fairy hidden type or hidden power. I definitely think there should have been. And the thing you're talking about, like when it gets to the point where, Pharaoh Thorns are running hidden power fire for each other and stuff like that gets a little bit over the top. That's a bit ridiculous. I agree on that because in my mind it doesn't even make like lore sense for things to learn hidden power in a typing that's completely different from their own, right?
Right.
Like Landorus shouldn't have ice coverage. Like I can see that stance being very how should I say I can see that argument going very deep. I really agree with that part of that part of it. From a from a perspective of someone who loves to have options, though, I disagree. I think hidden powers should have stayed because I don't know. It's just nice for, especially let's take a draft league sense, right? It's just very nice. So in Pokemon, there's always more ways to win a battle than one, and hidden powers help keep that statement alive. I think because it lets lower tier mons have a fighting chance against the higher tier mons. For example, case in point, I used the Drifblim with hidden power ground to beat a Heatran, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if like removing hidden powers as well from some of these mons will definitely just make some matchups really hard. Like for example, take Fungus versus Ferroseed in the Little Cup, for example. That matchup was defined by Fungus having hidden power fire and can actually beat Ferroseed 1v1. Now that that's gone, the matchup has turned on its head and Fungus can't do anything. It literally
And
cannot
so,
do anything.
and I kind of, honestly, I kind of like that aspect of it because you say, I want to use Fungus, so I need to have a mon that has fire coverage so I can deal with Pharaoh Seed because that matchup is unwinnable for Fungus. And so it forces you to, or not even forces you, you use them, you have to use a mon that can deal with Pharaoh Seed if you want to succeed with the team. And you can't just use the same mons that you did the generation before and just slap on hidden power so you don't have to use something different.
Right,
You
right.
you it forces you to exercise your other options in mon selection. And like I
Right.
said, there was a lot of coverage moves distributed this generation and last generation with the move tutors. I
Mm.
think that I think that the need for hidden power is no longer here
Mm.
because you have a whole plethora of Pokemon to choose from, and all these plethora of Pokemon have ways to deal with things you you would need to that you would need hidden power in the past to deal with and keep in check.
Mm. Right. For me,
Especially with heavy duty boots, fire types are more viable now. So for the Sizzlers and stuff like that, you don't have to worry about switching in a fire type on rocks to take a bullet punch and hoping
mm.
that you are out of range for something else.
Mm. I can definitely see that. Like, you would need to pair Caesar with a rock setter, like for those fire types for sure, 100%. So I do see that, but that's like the heavy duty boots part of it. Like in terms of hidden power, I just feel like a lot of mons lost a fighting chance, and It's just these. It's just I've just noticed an increase. I'm not saying there's too much of it. I'm not saying there's too little of it. But I just noticed an increase that I don't like in the amount of unwinnable matchups or very like hard stated matchups. So for example, the thing I like about resist berries, for example, like Choppleberry, Berry, you have these for fighting, and you have Pasho, and you have etc. 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 Right? Is that they allow matchups to be turned on their head. It allows for counterplay. So for example, if there's a water versus a fire, you can run a water resist berry and you can KO it with something like solar beam or take hidden power grass, for example, right?
Mhm.
So it removes a lot of I just feel like it removes some counterplay just so like I don't want it to be set in stone that fire beats water because it feels like it dumbs down the game. I want there to be like how should I say that like aspects in which bad matchups can be played. I just feel like
Mhm.
bad matchups just become bad matchups, like unwinnable matchups, and that's just the part that I don't like. But so that's kind of our stance on it. We have a difference of opinion here. And in terms of that, I want to ask you how what were your stands on what were your thoughts around Z moves when those were around?
Honestly, they were very strong. Because they were on. If you did them, it was you, you could punish somebody for using their Z move.
Right.
Now, the thing I didn't like about Z moves is that they had the opportunity to crit.
Oh yeah. Mm.
They're already a supercharged moves. Why do we need to multiply that by two or times
1.5.
three in case of sniper mines?
Right, but it's 1.5. It's, it's crits are 1.5,
It's,
right? But I totally get what you're saying. I don't think they should have been able to crit either. That doesn't make any sense. What were your thought about how Draft League like turned around to the Z powers though? Like, did you enjoy having any mon using Z moves, or did you like the Z captain system, or what did you want them banned, or
I
what?
think I think the Z captain system was fair.
Mm,
It allowed for more consistent prep.
mm,
Whereas Freezy, you literally had to worry about every single possibility, every single possible mon bringing a potential Z move that you couldn't really predict. But if with the Z captains, you know what mons could potentially have the Z crystal, and you can look at their move sets to see, well, would this be very good versus my team?
exactly, exactly. So comparing that to Dynamax, what did you think about the Dynamax captain system?
I didn't play enough about it to have to form an opinion.
Hmm, I get that. I get that. I think Dynamax captains were broken. We started to play a season of the Almighty Ones, the season 6. It was the season 6 that went and forgot, so to speak. And I had Gigantamax Gengar with Weavile. That's all I remember, and I went undefeated for as long as that season went on, and then it got canceled midway. I remember that much. So
I don't even remember who my Dynamax captain was there. Like,
I could probably go and check it at some point. But yeah, for sure, for sure. So is there anything else that we can look forward to coming Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl? Are you looking for what do you think? Are National Dex is National Dex coming back? Do you think?
probably not.
Mm,
I feel like if they were going to give the fans what they wanted, they would have already announced it.
you have a good point. You have a good point there. What I think is that there's I think there will be like Cinnamons, right? Because it's a direct port. But I think there's also a chance of them adding mons that did not make it in Sword and Shield and make that game tradable with Sword and Shield. Because what we do know is that they announced in the trailer that Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl will not have its own ranked system. The ranked system will still keep going on Sword and Shield in terms of like the actual like the
What
VGC. ranked
If that's
sets, so to speak.
if that's the case, they're gonna have to do constant updates on Sword and Shield as well, which
Mm,
I don't know if they would want to keep doing that since they said there are no more DLCs coming out for it.
right, right. And that made me. It actually made me wonder a little bit. Like, are draft leagues gonna stay in the Sword and Shield meta since the rank systems are staying there? Will this be like a let's? My question was basically, will BDSP be like a Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, basically, like a Pokemon game that's following the franchise, but it's outside of the main line. But that doesn't make sense because it's a remake of the mainline games. So I think it's
Right.
the first time we've stumbled upon this, and we don't really have answers until they're given them to us, which is really exciting. But at the same time, it makes you wonder, Where's the game headed at this point, right?
Right. And it's one of those things that we're just not gonna know until we get the game,
Right,
unless
right.
they decide to announce more before in the next couple of months leading up to it the release. We're
I,
not gonna we're not
mm,
gonna know.
right. And that's what I like about the Legends Arceus, though, is that the Game Freak says, okay, we're going to give you a straight port, but we're going to give you a little bit extra. You're going to get some regional variants from Sinnoh, but it's going to be from old Sinnoh. So instead of moving in locations, we're moving in time this time. If you get what I mean by saying that, that
Yeah,
is, yeah.
and it kind of fits the Sinnoh theme of space and time.
It really does fit the Sinnoh theme with space and time, and that makes me wonder what would have happened if Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire came out today. Would there be regional variants based on too much habitat around the sea and too much habitat around the land? Would would there start to be deforms of Pokemon based on Team Aqua or Team Magma coming in and having too much control over a certain area? Because at that point, like messing with the time aspect, like going to Old Hoenn, for example, wouldn't make as much sense as going to Old Sinnoh, because Sinnoh is all about the tradition of Pokemon. Well, Hoenn is all about the weather and the climate change, right?
Right. I don't think so because if they were going to do regional variants for a Hoenn remake,
Mm,
it wouldn't make sense to the original game.
that,
Now I can understand the Mirage Islands allowing for access to mods in the national decks.
mm,
That was a cool feature,
mm,
but I don't think that adding new variants, brand new Pokemon to the region after the region has already been established and beloved by many,
right.
I don't think it would make sense.
That's also maybe why Pokemon was a little scared of making too many changes to the mainline games, because first of all, Game Freak was not in the head, so the company that took over was like, okay, we have a streamlined game on our hands, people. If we mess too much with it, people are going to get mad at us and we won't get sales. So because I feel like Nintendo has always been very sales focused.
Right.
Sometimes they have like a golden like shot at glory where they just make something that the fans love, like Mega Evolution, right? That doesn't really make sense, or it makes sense sales wise as well, right? But
Because they could sell more toys.
right, they can sell more merch. It's more megas. It's cooler forms. It's the shonen, right? It's the young boys. Oh, look at my Charizard. It's black and it has blue flames, right? And it's a dragon type now, right? So it makes sense on the sales perspective, but I feel like Nintendo has always been very focused towards the sales. Like, yeah, they're one of the biggest companies in the world, but when you have that much money, should you? I don't know. I just feel like I would have taken it a different direction, kind of. But then again, maybe they got a bit scared from the backlash of how Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl looks like, because we talked about the difference in how the games look like, and I like that art style. I think it's cool because you see that the art style changes a little bit once you get into the battle. Am I right? You get like
Mhm.
the full forms. It's basically like they're trying to keep it true to the games, the overworld games, but they look a little bit different.
Right. I do like that they brought back the feature from Heart Gold Soul Silver where the Pokemon will follow you.
Right, right, and that's actually kind of cool. I like that. But they do have that in Sword and Shield though, so It's not like super new that they're bringing it back, but at least they're bringing it back. You know what I'm saying? At least it's not gone. They're keeping it back because people loved it and
It's
they've
like
listened. So
they said, what are some things that people really loved about Gen 4? And there was a lot of praise over Heart Gold Soul Silver in Gen 4 having that feature there. So I think it
yep,
makes sense for them to add it here.
yep. That makes very much sense. That makes very much sense. But as I said, I am a little bit scared of the games being a straight port because it feels like we're being
I mean,
sold the same game over again.
you look at Fire Red and Leaf Green.
Right. Look at Fire Red and Leaf Green. What did they do to the original games? They added more mons, so we might
They
get.
added no, they added the Sevi Islands and they made it to where Golbat couldn't evolve until you beat the Elite Four.
Oh, really? Is that what they did?
Yep. Yeah, the Sevi Islands were there, and then if your Golbat reached max happiness, it would try to evolve. But if you didn't have the national dex unlocked yet, it would say, "Oh, it stopped."
Really?
Yep,
That's crazy. I did not know that.
that was my biggest qualm with Fire Red Leaf Green.
Yeah, dude, that makes no sense. That makes no sense. But I can definitely see more of a Fire Red Leaf Green approach. They're making a remake. They're updating the graphics, just like a Fire Red Leaf Green. They're adding mons that have come out since the games were released on date. So
What mons are they adding to Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl? Because I only saw Sinnoh mons, or
right,
mons that were already featured in the trailer.
right. That's what we can start to wonder about. I'm gonna have to watch the trailer again for sure, but I definitely think I saw some. Maybe it was just Sinnoh mons,
Or
or like
mons that
mm,
were present in the Sinnoh region.
yes, mons that were present in the Sinnoh region, so to speak, not just Diamond, Pearl, Platinum Pokemon, not just Sinnoh Pokemon, but Pokemon that were basically it's generation 1 to 4 and a mixed bag of that kind of,
Right.
if that makes sense, because you don't see Bulbasaurus running around, right, but you do see Geodudes and Psyducks and stuff like that. So definitely looking forward to that. Definitely. Do you have anything else on the agenda that you would like to bring up?
Um. Well, we have not talked about Legends Arceus yet.
We did scoop a little bit onto it when we talked about the Hisuian variants, right?
Right, but we did not talk about the evolutions. We briefly mentioned the Stanley
Right.
evolution, but we did not
Right.
talk specifically about them.
Right.
So I am excited for the Stanley evolution, Weird Ear, but
Mm,
I'm also excited for our newest Ghost and Water type Basculegion. That
that's
thing
dope.
looks really nice.
I agree. When I saw the trailer for the first time, I actually thought it was a Red Gyarados, but it looked weird. So I was like, is that an old? Is that I was just like, is that like basically Hisuian? Because I didn't know the name yet. But is that like Hisuian Gyarados, dude? Red Hisuian Gyarados? Are you kidding me right now? And then it was Basculegion, which is like, it's not
Then you
as
saw
cool, but it's cool.
the original Gyarados in the trailer.
Yeah. Now I saw the original Gyarados, and I was a bit like, wow. But I'm hyped about Basculegion, bro. What do these evolutions mean? Like, what do you think about the Weird Ear typing and normal psychic?
I think it's different. It's not had a good representation
Normal
in
psychics?
so far. Yeah, because so far we have Giraffaric, we have Meloetta has been the best representation of normal psychic so far.
I disagree.
Eh, You
There's
disagree?
there's one more I think that's been a good
Because
representation of normal psychic.
there's a Ranguru.
Indeedy.
Indeed, yeah, I forgot that thing was normal psychic.
Yeah, with it having psychic terrain, I think that's one of the best representation of normal psychic we've had. Just because it's so few and far between who gets terrain. So you have the Tapus. Tapus get terrain,
Mm.
right? And then you have like one member that's spread out that gets one terrain each in the what's it called? Galar region.
Hmm.
So you have Rillaboom for grass. That's the only Pokemon as far to my knowledge. Or like, oh, come on, the Rillaboom line is the only one. So they've basically restricted it to one evolution line. But just as a case, just take one Pokemon, right? So you have Rillaboom
Right.
for grass. You have Indeedee for psychic. You have Pincurchin for electric. And then you have Galar Weezing for Misty Terrain. Outside of that and Tapu's, no one gets Terrain as their second or hidden ability, which is
Right.
very crazy. And that makes me think about, like, yeah, because that's what I wanted to mention. I think Indeedee is the best normal psychic representation we've had, just because since you can't use Tapu Lele in certain restrictions, like for example, take Draft League. If you don't get Tapu Lele, well, there's only one option left for psychic terrain that's not set up manually. Or take VGC sets, for example. If Tapu Lele is considered a legendary and it is banned, and just because of national decks or being a legendary, well then, you know, that means
Hmm.
you don't have that many options for the terrains, which is kind of cool. But that also makes me wonder, do you think, like, we're gonna get back to Legends Arceus because I thought you had a great lead on that. I want you to continue that, but just a sidetrack here. Do you think there will be any ability changes or any changes that aren't that huge, any move changes or ability changes that will happen in Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl? Do you expect any ability changes? Like, let's say Pelipper got Drizzle, for example, right? Anything like that? Do you think anything like that will happen?
I don't know if there would be anything game defining. I would hope that Ursa Ring would maybe get guts.
Right. Cause what
But
what does it
like
get now? Quick feet.
quick feet, I think.
Right. Definitely quick feet. What doesn't it? What other abilities does it get? It gets
Uh
Ursaring gets guts.
oh, it does?
Guts quick feet. Yeah.
Hmm. I didn't realize it got guts. Let me see.
Put Ursaring on the draft league bucket list real quick.
I mean, it was already on there, but
Right. All right. Oh, nice.
I've my bucket list is literally to use every single Pokemon once. So
Right. Right. I'm looking forward to when you come around and you're gonna start picking mons that I like for your bucket list. It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be cool, man. Gonna be cool. So,
yeah.
coming back to Legends Arceus,
Hmm.
what do you think? For example, take Basque Legion as an example. Take Werdeer, because we haven't heard of their abilities yet. What do you think their abilities would be? Because with regional variant changes, usually there's an ability change. What do you think we can expect, or what do you want?
I think I can see Weirdeer maybe having a secondary ability of telepathy.
Yep, I
As
can see
far
that.
as as far as regular abilities, I can like thick fat is a possibility. It's got a really thick coat
Mm,
to help protect it from the winter and such.
right, right.
Um, Maybe intimidate just because its antlers do look like they still have eyes.
Mm, right.
So I could
Intimidate Hisuian Breviary.
maybe. I don't know. I don't know what Braviary could end up having. I think I don't know.
How
It's hard
cool?
to tell.
How cool wouldn't it be if Braviary, as a normal psychic type, got Mind Force, an ability that's basically like Gale Force but for psychic moves?
You mean Gale Wings?
Gale Wings, that's what I mean. Like, yeah, that's what I meant. I thought it was Gale
Okay.
Force. It's Gale Wings. Come on, get the name right,
I
Soul.
could I guess if they did something like that, I could see it being banned.
Banned.
Psychic is too spammable of a type, and if especially if they give that thing a high enough offensive stat with uh, good stab moves to complement the offensive stat, and always being able to go first, I think that I could see that either getting nerfed or banned because Psychic is too spammable of a move type, so you would be forced to bring a Dark type or a resist.
Mm,
which could be abused by coverage.
yeah, right. And there's one thing that makes me wonder here, real quick. I don't think Legends Arceus is gonna have tradable things with Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, just because of the different mechanic in terms of turn order, because turn orders work completely different in Legends Arceus.
Right.
It's basically not just like whatever's faster go first, but there's like different style. So it depends on what move you're using and how fast that move is when you're using it. So if you're
Right.
using a stronger version of the move, it's gonna go slower, for example,
Hmm.
which is kind of crazy. And I don't think that translates well between games.
No, but it makes sense. It makes sense for the kind of game that it's trying to present itself to be.
Yeah, I mean
Because
that is true.
this is essentially like a combination Pokemon, but it's a combination of Breath of the Wild and Monster Hunter.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true.
So so the style switch thing makes sense.
Yeah, that's correct. I
If
think it.
something is bulky
Mm,
and going to be hard to kill, you would want to hit it for as much damage as you can, and then switch to a faster style.
right. I agree
If
on that. There's definitely different strategies you have to consider when attempting such a game.
because you think of it like a fighting game.
Hmm.
You want to deal as much damage as possible, so you hit it with a heavy strike and then a bunch of light attacks.
Right. Or you can even do like a traditional boxing style. You can lead with a light punch and link it into a heavier one.
Right.
Because it's going to go so fast, so it's your turn again. So you go for a light jab and then you hit the uppercut or, the game version of the uppercut, basically. But I just think it's so crazy that there's basically going to be different speeds of close combat and such right now. And I think that's kind of crazy.
Hmm.
What ability would you expect from Basque Legion?
Um, Swift Swim.
Swift Swim, yeah. I think Cursed
Uh,
Body, actually.
I think it. I think it'll keep adaptability
Oh, I hope. Ghost type adaptability? Please, man.
because
Oh.
its deck century says that it is formed from the soul of passed on masculine.
Oh, really? Is it?
Yep.
Bruh, that's so insane. I didn't know that. I'm behind. I'm behind. But that's so insane. But what do you think about, like, how is Basque Legion going to be represented in future games? Like, let's say, after they usually do remakes and then new games every other time. So now that we get in these remakes, comes time for a new game in 2 years' time. How are they going to do Basque Legion? Because it has to be in an old time to get that Pokemon. So I just
I think
how would that be solved?
I think depending on how this game does, it's gonna determine the future of Pokemon.
I think
If
so
this
too.
game if this game does well, we're gonna see more games like this instead of the old format.
And if you think this game
And
goes poor,
then they'll go back to what they know works.
they just get Tencent in there, and they're just like, okay, you guys go ahead, remake the most sold video games on earth. Go ahead, good luck. And they're just like too scared to do anything. Straight port. People hate it, and they're just like, well, you had a good time. Game Freight, get back in.
I'm talking about Arceus. Like
Right, 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 right.
if Arceus does well, we're gonna see more Pokemon games are gonna be based more around that style.
Yeah, yeah,
And if it doesn't work, they're gonna go back to what they know works.
exactly.
I think they're taking a risk on this because they saw how successful the Monster Hunter and the Breath of the Wild games are.
Right, and they can also base on Sword and Shield because Sword and Shield is it's yeah you have hidden power removable and such, but it's basically very true to form. They're not changing the core formula. There's 8 gyms. They changed that with the Alolan region, where you had trials instead, right?
Right.
So after seeing that, like even that was a good concept, they went back to 8 gyms. So there might be one of these times where they're just trying out something new, and then regardless of how it performs, they just intend to go back. But we never know. It's
Mhm.
really
Like
interesting like that.
this game is definitely going to be more Pokedex oriented.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Definitely. What do you think? Like, so that's where Draft League comes in, though, because Draft League is kind of this alternate reality where we can just mix, pick, and pull what we want, which is why we're still using Mega Evolutions, right?
Hmm.
So
I
how do you think Legends Arceus and BDSP are going to link into Draft League meta change? Because then we're basically going to have Mega Evolutions. We're still going to have Band Dynamax because we're still having Band Z moves now, right? And then we're basically gonna see Basculegion with Mega Evolutions.
it's just going to depend on how Showdown decides to code the website.
True. And there's probably so many different formats. Like Gen 8 is probably the generation that brought most format changes to the game. There's just so many formats to play right now, and that's probably gonna keep going. So Showdown has been good about having a different representation of the different play styles. Or I'm talking mostly about sports now. Sports, the Draft League server of Showdown for people who don't know, but they have like so many different formats you can play in, and those kind of represent. There's a new format for every time Pokemon decides to change something, just because they want to appease people who like new stuff and don't want to turn away old players. So that's the vibe I'm getting anyway. What are your thoughts on how sports are gonna approach this going forward?
I think they're just going to have to play it by ear.
Hmm.
Like, you're not going to get it perfect on the first go. There are going to be people who are upset that something is not working the way it is. Are they going to implement the style change into the simulator, or are they going to just keep it as it is and just add in the Pokemon with their base stats and just keep the formula the same?
Hmm. For
Those are
sure.
all questions that are going to need to be answered we before there are any attempts at a draft league for RCS.
Yeah. I actually agree on that. I agree on that. And that there's also probably going to be different formats on Showdown for playing the turn order with the Arceus style. There are probably going to be draft leagues with that, you know. So you're going to have draft leagues that are going to be like, hey, we want to do a Legends Arceus format, so we're doing the turn order from Legends Arceus because sports have coded that as a format, you know, something like that
Right,
maybe.
but and that's the thing is if sports wants to try and code that,
Yeah. That's true. That's a big change actually in how turn order works.
because
I don't.
like before, like I can assume that coding Dynamax and Mega Evolution and Z moves were not really as bad.
Right, because you still have the same core mechanics of gameplay.
Right, but this is a complete change.
This would I don't know how coding works, so I might be out of my field here. But I'd say either it takes a long time to implement this, or we're gonna have a separate simulator, simulating website basically. Maybe like I said, I don't know how it works, so I'm just shooting the blind here. But
And the issue with the separate simulator is that they have to worry about Nintendo with their copyrights.
right, that's also true. That's also true. Luckily, like Nintendo is really harsh on their copyright. If you see on the Smash scene, they were taken down even recently, like modded things like Project Plus for Brawl, which is basically
Mm-hmm.
like optimizing Brawl to be more like the last one that was more competitively viable, so to speak, or competitively loved. Nintendo went out and said gave the tournaments that are trying to host the format a cease and desist. So Nintendo is still actively day to day protective of their IP and very much so. So if you like, we're lucky to have glitch, right? But if you can't upload a straight Pokemon track or a straight Pokemon episode from Pokemon TV, for example, you're gonna get in law trouble basically. The
Right.
fact that sports and Showdown are still alive, it's just happy days as long as we have them. Because
Because they're not. It's because they're not trying to monetize using their IP.
I think so too. I think it's just for the pleasure of play, and I think Nintendo recognizes that, hopefully. But I still at the same time we're kind of getting borderline with sports and Showdown. It's like Showdown and sports wouldn't have to do too much for Nintendo to hunt after them. Just to put it like that, they're not that far away from that area,
Right.
I'd
Right.
say. So really appreciative of Draft League being healthy and alive, so to speak. I can't really speak for all of Draft League because it's hard to get in every server and know every person, right? Because that's kind of how Draft League works in these close communities. But hopefully this broadcast is one step closer to. Hopefully this podcast is one step closer to connecting the community. Because in my experience, people have addressed the Draft League community as very toxic, and I don't want that to be a stigma of a game format I love. So we kind of out here with this concept, trying to change the world. So let's go. Is there
Change
any?
the world one step at a time. You can't force change though.
Right. You can introduce change, but you can't force it.
Right.
That's kind of how I like to look at it anyway. But yeah, do you have anything else for the closing?
Uh, give Dunsparce an evolution or a regional form.
Right. Any questions you have for this podcast, any topic suggestions, any questions you want, please feel free to either contact us on our platforms, either on Twitter, which is linked in the description for you guys seeing this on YouTube. For you guys on Twitch, that is the commands in the title. You can type that in and find us, and make sure to let us know what you want as future topics, or what you want as if you have any questions in particular. We would be very much happy to help or address it on a future episode. So, or a future volume. Sorry, we're volume in this. So yeah, but I think that's basically going to be it. Nintendo, listen to us. Please give Dunsparce an evolution. Do it for my friend Merkit. He's going to love it. So I draft Bastille Legion. You draft Werdeer, and we'll see how that goes. Going to update you guys on that at a later point in time. Hope you guys are enjoyed this episode, and we hope to see you on as well when the new games come out. We're going to do content for that as well, of course, and we hope to see you enjoy the games as much as we are going to do. Try at least with the changes and such. But that's going to be it for the first episode of this first volume of this podcast, the Goldenrod Draft League podcast. This has been Soul, and you, Merkit. You
Merk.
Yeah. And we'll catch you guys in the next volume. So thank you so much for tuning in this time around, and go follow the socials down below. Ask questions in the comments. Hit the like, hit the sub, all that good stuff. You know what to do. You've heard it 1,000 times. But we love you, and we'll see you guys next time. So peace.